Dirt Trax is sponsored by Can-Am. We're built for this. Polaris, the world leader in off-road innovation. And by Yamaha, conquer outdoors.
I don't really like sitting around doing nothing, but being patient and quiet for something like this is definitely worth it. It was really an honor this year to be invited to the Waterfowl Media Hunt put on by Sure Shot Game Calls in North Battleford, Saskatchewan. It's an event that attracts media by invitation only from all across North America. And these are media from the outdoor sector, from the hunting and fishing sector, and obviously from the off-road sector. The event itself is sponsored by Remington, so we were shooting Remington shotguns and using Remington ammunition. It was sponsored by Polaris, so we were riding Polaris side-by-sides, and it was hosted by Northway Outfitters, which is a very well-known outfitter in this area. We've been promised birds, everything from Canada and snow geese to about 18 different types of ducks, so I was pretty excited. Over the course of the day, I managed to get 5 birds, which was less than what traditionally a person would get in this location, but I was feeling pretty good about it because that's the most I've ever gotten a day. But the big one for me, and as a Canadian, this probably sounds really backwards, but was the Canada goose. What is that? Man, I was within 5 inches of that thing. I remember thinking, I hit it, but it didn't go down. And so I kind of gave up and was discouraged. But in actual fact, I did get it. That's a Canada right there? That is the best news I've heard all day. I always wanted to kill one of those, crapping on my lawn all the time. You know, it was a pretty long morning in the blind. So when the time came, you know, we packed up and headed back to our Ranger in the boat. And I mean, I felt pretty good that I got 5 birds. I felt pretty accomplished there, but realistically, we didn't get as many as we should have. However, there was more hunting to be done on this trip. For the afternoon though, once we got back, we unloaded our birds, we jumped in our Ranger. Remington was putting on a skeet shoot with new Versamax shotguns and all the ammo we could handle. And that was really exciting. So we headed out immediately and went to that event. Skeet shooting is something I love to do. And I go through stages of being good at it and being really terrible at it. And to say that there was pressure on this one was an understatement. I mean, we were lined up with dozens of media who are avid hunters and avid skeet shooters who do it competitively in some cases. And here I am with a new shotgun I never fired. But I actually impressed myself. I you know, not to brag, but I was doing really well. Pretty much impossible to know who hits them, but we'll just all take credit for it at the same time, right? Better than I was doing when there were live birds. And it was super fun to be lined up with all these people, you know, varying skill levels. I think I went through like 250 rounds or something. I mean, I'd been up super early that morning at 3 a.m. I was exhausted, so I just went to the grass and laid down and had to lay down for a bit and relaxed and watched other people shoot. Day 1 of this Waterfowl Media Conference put on by Sure Shot Game Calls was awesome, but we had a lot more in store for day 2.
Dirt Trax is sponsored by Princess Auto, a unique world of equipment, tools, and more. Closed captioning of Dirt Trax is sponsored by MBRP PowerSports, race-inspired performance.
So for our trail ride day, the vehicle that we were going to be in was actually one that we haven't been able to test yet, and it's a newer model, the Ranger XP 1000 Crew. We had a couple extra people, a good friend of ours from the off-road world, Rick Sozeby, was riding with us. We all piled in this Ranger and it was super comfortable. I mean, everything you could possibly want out of a group ride with a side-by-side. It was comfortable, it was fast, it handled great, it was completely capable for sure, and definitely showcased the capabilities of the Ranger 1000 XP better than I think anything else could have.
We see these types of events as a long-term commitment. It really speaks to what our customers are doing with our vehicles, and it really is the intersection of the work and recreation and the full lifestyle of how customers use our vehicles. So it's important for us to be involved in this space just to support that activity, but also to make sure that we're close to what our customers are using the vehicles for. The Ranger Crew is a great vehicle for hunting. It allows you to take the full party out, up to 6 adults in the cab, and plenty of room with a full cargo box to stow your gear, your guns, and get out to the hunting site, and then get back in comfort as well. And of course, since it's a Ranger, you can cover any kind of terrain that you might encounter, whether it be trails or great wide open spaces.
It gives you the utility that you need as a rancher or as somebody who's going to be in this environment to do the jobs you need to do to get, supplies and stuff into your animals, your livestock. And then we proved that it's also an incredible trail riding machine. I was comfortable, I was happy, it handled great, it's got more than enough power. It's just an awesome all-round machine for pretty much anything you could want to do with it. After a great day riding Ranger XP 1000 cruise, it was time to do our afternoon hunt for day 2. And obviously not having got up as early this morning, I was much more rested and much more excited about this hunt. We went back out to the same lake that we were at before, but we went to a different location. This time the sun was going to be at our backs, the birds would be flying at us. And again, we were promised unlimited birds, just swarms of birds. Well, it seems that the dirt tracks curse followed us again that afternoon, as it always seems to. I mean, yes, you're hunting animals, and animals are unpredictable. You're trying to anticipate their behavior when you're hunting, and you don't always get it right. So it's kind of more of a game of chance than anything else. I was using my Sure Shot game call, had my Remington already, and I'm not much of a bird caller, but I was doing my best.
I should stick to the shooting.
Yeah. And scare them away.
Yeah.
Whether or not it was because of the calling that this bird flew in, I don't know, but one of them flew up and I took a few shots with my Remington, and I thought for sure I saw it fly over and then land behind us.
You think it's dead?
Well, it's over there in that bay right back there, and it didn't look real happy when it landed.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that it, that white spot out there?
No, it's to the left more. It's kind of floated back into the left. But when it landed, it had its...
I see it. It's swimming right there. Correct?
Yeah, like it was just kind of puttering around.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe I'd got it and had landed, but it didn't. Our guide went and looked for it and he didn't find it. Just before we were ready to pack up, this was basically the only action we'd had all day. These 2 little ducks flew in, I popped up, took my shots, guy beside me took some shots, and he got one, I got one, and that was it for the whole day. But it was still a really good time. We still had lots of fun, we had lots of laughs. Our guide is hilarious, told amazing stories. I got to visit with the guys in the blind, which was nice.
Is that the right one? What does that sound?
I don't know. This 2018 Waterfowl Media Conference put on by Sure Shot Game Calls was really a unique experience. Definitely put me in situations I normally wouldn't have put myself in. I got to hang out with friends of mine from the media, and spend some time with them. We got to ride Rangers, which was fun. It's always fun riding side-by-sides, and basically just get into my comfort zone and do different things that I'm used to. It was great that Polaris thought of us and recommended us as one of the off-road media to be invited to this event, and I certainly hope that they'll invite us back next year to whatever the 2019 Waterfowl Media Conference will be.
Dirt Trax is sponsored by Shock Strap. Start strapped, stay strapped.
Next to a roof, an exhaust is likely the #2 thing people install on their side-by-sides after they get it. So we're here with Jared Heshka from MBRP to talk about exhaust in general and some new offerings from MBRP.
Cool, Luke. Well, appreciate you guys having me here. Today, obviously, we have the Polaris RS1 here. I'm really excited about the systems we developed for this, and I'm looking forward to kind of chatting about them.
What would you say are the biggest benefits a user can gain from installing an aftermarket exhaust on their side-by-side?
So a couple different things you're going to see. Obviously a bit of a performance gain for sure, but just a bolt-on product. And two, a nice throaty sound too. It'll be a much better sound note than the OEM note, but it's something you can ride all day long with.
And I've got to think that there's also a bit of a weight savings when you're installing aftermarket exhaust and taking all the brackets and junk off and putting something more sleek on. That might not be a universal truth, but in general, that's pretty true.
In general, for sure. Yeah, there definitely is a weight savings for sure when changing out the system.
As an expert in exhaust, what should a buyer be looking for? What are the key things that they need to look for specifically when they're buying this product?
There's certainly factors here for sure you want to key in on when buying an exhaust. Material like stainless steel, how it's put together, whether they use spring and a slip joint or bevel style clamps to hold the Y pipe to the muffler bodies, whether it's a straight through core design or it has a baffle inside as well. This will allow you to whether you need a programmer or not to run it. So you always want to look for how easy it is to one, install it, and two, make it work for you. When you have the unit in the garage, to pull off the stock, when you basically take off the stock heat shield, of course the stock muffler, but that really involves 2 bolts, 2 springs, and a couple of the other the little nuts to pull off the stock heat shield, but it's very, very straightforward. We're taking the stock unit off, you basically pull out the stock O2 bung and make sure you actually disconnect that first, and that threads right into this system.
So we got the stock exhaust off, as you can see, and it was heavy.
Very heavy.
Now we're going to install our new MBRP exhaust, and we've got the Sport over here and the Performance here. Which one are we going to use and why?
Definitely are both great options, obviously Sport versus Performance, but the Performance is definitely my go-to. It's got that signature MBRP nameplate on it, as well as the nice dual look as well too, so it really complements the rear look of the unit. So this system here, definitely kind of an easy bolt-on system. And the cool thing is it's actually kind of how it comes in the box. So, anybody with common hand tools can easily install this type of system, in under, 15 minutes kind of thing, as you'll see that we put it on as well.
You're buying a product like this to bolt to your side-by-side, there's got to be things that you want to steer clear of. What might those be?
Exhausts are kind of designed for the most part to be able to install in your garage. One that takes a bit of time to install and requires tuning and stuff like that. For the average guy, that's tough to use unless you're really a big gearhead. Spark arresters, you want to make sure the system has something like that. Again, if you're trail riding or out in kind of public areas for sure. So.
And when it comes to materials, is there any specific material for a side-by-side that you want to steer clear of, or something you should be looking for most?
Looking for most would be definitely stainless or something a high quality material. When you're using these machines in mud or the dunes or something like that, these are pretty harsh environments. So you want an exhaust that's going to last. Mud or anything like that sticks to the unit. So you want to make sure the materials are going to hold up for a long time.
Tell us about the systems you brought us today.
Cool. Well, MBRP, we brought in 2 systems, one being our dual system, which we installed today, and the other one was our sport system, which is kind of a more oval design. Kind of to key in on those a little bit, the oval design, a nice deeper tone. It's a kind of a good to lower your EGTs, and you can still put your stock shroud back on. The real kind of gravy train, I like to call it, is the dual systems. It looks awesome. Kind of gives the unit a really nice look to the back end as well. So it really kind of complements the overall style of it as well.
And this one actually says, "I'm awesome."
Pretty much.
Yeah, to the ladies.
Yeah, it screams kind of, basically coolness.
But what are some of the key features of this exhaust in particular?
Cool. Well, this one in particular, we have obviously 304 stainless body. So the real nice thing about it is a good material, kind of like we talked about what you should look for in purchasing an exhaust. Where kind of we come in is that we actually have an internal baffle built into each one of the exhausts. So this does 2 things. One, it keeps your sound at a respectable level, and 2, enough back pressure so you don't have to run a programmer.
Perfect.
So the real nice thing, bolt it on and you can go ride. You don't have to do anything crazy like tune it or program it.
And not spend any more extra money. I mean, you buy this, you put it on, you're done.
Basically.
Thanks so much for coming out, Jared, and bringing us a cool exhaust, showing us how to install it, showing me how to install it, and teaching us a little bit more about exhaust. I think it's an important thing to understand the products that you're buying. You buy a product, you need to know why you're buying it and the benefits it's going to give you. Otherwise, you don't know what you're getting. So having this information is really useful, and certainly it's no denying that this thing is sexy when it's installed.
Absolutely. Well, definitely kind of appreciate you guys having me here and kind of walking through how to install it, and we'll see you next time.
Dirt Trax is sponsored by Argo. Go anywhere.
The Yamaha YXZ broke the mold when it hit the market, bringing a triple-cylinder power plant linked to a gear-on-gear transmission, able to deliver the significant power it produced to the ground in a new way for the industry. That it did truly take the sportiness of a side-by-side to a completely new level. Today I've been given the opportunity to test the significantly redesigned 2019 YXZ 1000R SS EPS SE. This DOHC with YCCS and RC2s makes me want to TTYL and hold it WOT. Yeah, it's an acronym-filled vehicle, but for the 2019 YXZ, it gets the biggest update since its inception. The obvious updated styling is welcomed and adds freshness to the rig. The new rims are clean and look the part, and the 29 Bighorn 2.0s are a welcomed upgrade in size, matching what the industry seems to have adopted as the standard high-performance side-by-side size tire. The tire increase gives us 13.7 inches of ground clearance, and travel out back is 17 inches, while up front sits at 16.2. Once you get past the obvious changes, the real differences are harder to notice without a little more digging. For 2019, Yamaha's taken the YXZ to a completely new market. With 7% overall gear ratio reductions, and in first gear alone, a 24% reduction, this means that now trail riders and technical terrain riders are getting something that they've always been asking for. When you add to this the addition of beefier engine internals, including new high-strength connecting rods, a relocated high-mount rear radiator, and the dual air filter design, Yamaha has truly poised the YXZ to no longer just be a one-trick pony focused at dunes and desert, but now a very capable trees and trails side-by-side that's also going to allow for greater deep water riding with the Rad Relocate. Sure, it'll keep the engine running cooler with 30% greater cooling capacity and a dual electric fan moving 300% more air, but folks who really want to get the YXZ ready for the mud, it's a feature that's very welcomed. While engine durability has been increased, power stays very similar, but that's not a bad thing. However, one thing that is changing for 2019 is the ability to stop and hold position when you're riding in technical conditions. Yamaha completely overhauled the braking system for 2019. With steel braided lines, larger pistons, larger calipers, larger rotors, and even a larger master cylinder, it improves in the safety and control department, but we felt the earlier YXZs required a significantly greater amount of pedal pressure. This new setup is tight, firm, and very controllable, with little to no fade even after 10 miles run of fire roads and heavy brake use. And speaking of another area that I saw absolutely zero fade, for 2019 the YXZ SS SE comes with Fox 2.5-inch RC2 shocks. They offer high and low speed compression adjustability, as well as a rebound clicker, and also for 2019 offer a dual spring setup. What does that mean for you? Well, there's a ton of adjustability. Whether it be preload or valving, you can really tune the SS SE to work the best for your conditions that you're riding on. The drawback is there are so many adjustments to be made that unless you truly take the time to understand what your adjustments are going to do, you should stay pretty close to stock and remember what the stock setting is as a baseline to come back to, as it's really easy to get way out of whack. This is not to say that adjustments are bad, but proper education is needed when dealing with this high a caliber of shock package. Now we all know that the SS or Sport Shift comes with paddle shifters as well as YCCS, which is Yamaha chip-controlled shift technology, as well as an advanced auto clutch design. But how's that translate into trail drivability? Keep in mind the SS SE is 64 inches wide, so you ain't running your backwoods ATV trails. But the Sport Shift is a blast to drive, and I feel immerses me even further into the driving experience. Pounding a shift, or more properly, grabbing a paddle when exiting a corner, and looking for a higher ground speed, or likewise tapping it down a gear or two for a hard entry into a corner, truly gets my adrenaline pumping and my competitive nature in gear. The ability to not take what gear ratio I'm given, but take the gear ratio that I want is both exciting and also immersive, as you start to feel more connected and more focused. Truly, I almost let go even more of the worries of the day because I'm not just gas and brake. I'm pounding shifts. I'm determining the best gear to be in, and it's like nothing else in this sport.
It's a truly unique feature only Yamaha offers. Sure, it may not be for everyone, but those seeking a more driver-centric experience are going to find that the new 2019 YXZ offers something that other manufacturers can't. It's targeted to a broader range than just sand and dunes, and now it's trails and trees, a segment that's been asking for it since it first came out.
Dirt Trax Television has been sponsored by Polaris, the world leader in off-road innovation. Can-Am, we're built for this. And by Textron Off-Road, power, performance, and precision engineering.